All right, let's get right into it. We're breaking down a pretty stark analysis from economist Professor Steve Keen. And his argument is basically this. The global economic balance is shifting so fast and so dramatically that it's pushing the world's two biggest superpowers toward a really dangerous breaking points.
Yeah, Professor Keene does not pull any punches. He kicks things off with this just chilling warning. He's framing this whole situation not as some simple economic rivalry, but as a potential path to actual physical conflict. Right out of the gate, you know the stakes could not be higher. So you might be wondering, what makes this different from the Cold War? I mean, we've been here before, right? Well, back then you had this doctrine of mutually assured destruction, or MAD for short. The idea was brutally simple. If you launch your nukes, we launch ours, and everybody dies. Nobody wins. But Keene's big argument is that this certainty, that incredibly powerful deterrent, has started to fall apart. And that, he says, makes the world we live in today a far, far more dangerous place. And that really brings us to the most important question. Why? Why does the risk feel so much greater today? Well, Keene's analysis suggests that the old rulebook, both for military and for economic conflict, has basically been thrown out the window. And if you dig down to the absolute core of the problem, according to Keene, it's all about a massive disagreement over how the global economy is even supposed to work. We're talking about a clash between two totally opposite economic philosophies, and they've put the US and China on a direct collision course. So here's where you can really see that clash. On one side, you've got the classic Keynesian view, which is the camp Keynes is in. This says that if a country, like China, is running a massive trade surplus year after year, it's doing so at the expense of its trading partners. But on the other side, you have a newer idea that's been really influential in the US, modern monetary theory, or MMT. The MMT view says, hey, if you control your own currency, deficits don't really matter. Imports are a benefit. You get real stuff. And exports are a cost. You're sending your real stuff away. These two ideas just cannot exist in the same world. And Keene's opinion on this core MMT argument is, well, it's pretty blunt. He literally calls it a brain fart. He believes this one single idea has been so profoundly misguided that it led American policymakers to essentially ignore the fact that their own country was being deindustrialized, all while its main competitor was busy building an economic empire. Okay, so while the US was busy debating these abstract economic theories, what was China actually doing? According to Keene, they were methodically executing a brilliant long-term plan, using their huge trade surplus as a war chest to fund one of the fastest, biggest industrial expansions in all of human history. And we're not talking about a small number here. This is a trade surplus that's around 6% of their entire enormous GDP. Now, that money isn't just piling up in a vault somewhere. It's being actively reinvested, plowed right back into building China's infrastructure and its industrial power. And what's the result of all that investment? Well, just look. From green energy like solar panels and wind farms to next-gen nuclear power and electric cars, China has systematically become the world's factory for the most important industries of the future. Now, this is a perfect example of their strategy in action. Take rare earth metals. They aren't actually rare to find. The hard part is refining them, which is a dirty, complex, and difficult process. So China spent decades mastering it. And now? Well, now, our most advanced military hardware, from smart bombs to jet fighters, simply cannot be built without them. As Keene puts it, China now has the rest of the world by the military balls. And here's the really crucial part. This isn't just about making money or winning at trade. Keene argues that China's endgame is total self-sufficiency. They have a long memory of things like the Opium Wars. They see the instability in the world today, and they are laser-focused on building an economy that can stand completely on its own, without needing anybody else. So let's flip the coin. While China was building this incredible industrial machine, what were the consequences back in the United States? Well, Keene argues that while China was building, America was basically letting its own foundation just crumble. Keene points out that when you go to China, you see that national wealth being poured into what he calls public affluence. You see it in the incredible public parks, the gleaming new airports and train stations, the rising standard of living. It's all designed to create social stability and a productive population. But for the US, he uses this classic, stinging quote from the economist John Kenneth Galbraith: private affluence and public squalor. He sees a nation that has these amazing pockets of private wealth, but its public spaces, its infrastructure, its collective goods are all decaying. It reflects a country, in his view, that has just stopped investing in itself.
And all of this has created a kind of trap. America's ability to actually make things has been hollowed out. It doesn't have enough skilled workers and engineers to rebuild. Its education system has become so ridiculously expensive that it actively discourages people from gaining those skills. And at the very bottom of it all is a core philosophy that values moving money around far more than it values actually producing things.
And this, for Keene, just says it all. He argues that for decades, China has been churning out real engineers, people who design and build physical things. Meanwhile, America has been busy training financial engineers, people who design complex financial products. The long-term result of that fundamental choice is now becoming painfully, terrifyingly clear. So this all leads us to the final, unavoidable question. Is it too late? Can an empire that has, in Keene's blunt assessment, shot itself in the foot, can it actually turn things around? Keene does point to one area where the US still has a clear, dominant lead: space technology. And he gives a lot of credit to companies like SpaceX for that. But his optimism doesn't last long. He warns that given the sheer speed at which China is moving, he wouldn't be surprised to see them catch up, even here, in as little as 5 years. So the real challenge here isn't just about tweaking a few policies. It's about philosophy. It's about culture. Can the United States actually shift its entire mindset away from a dog-eat-dog, hyper-individualistic worldview and back towards one of collective investment in its own people, its own industries, its own future? To be honest, Keene is deeply skeptical. He thinks the country might just be too locked into its current path. And we'll end on what is maybe his most provocative statement of all. This situation, this decline, it wasn't some unavoidable accident. It wasn't just the natural way of things. In Professor Keene's analysis, it was a murder. And the weapon was bad economic theory. A pretty heavy thought that leaves us all with one final question. If a bad idea can kill a dream, what on earth is it going to take to bring it back to life?